We all have cold takes. I'm going through my top 5 coldest takes of the 2023 college football season. We start at number 5. And it's actually this thing right here over my left shoulder, guys. Beamer ball to the moon. My 5th coldest take of the 2023 college football season. And I didn't miss the record by a ton, right? I picked South Carolina to go 7-5. They went 5-7 in this 2023 season. So the record wasn't all that far off, right? The record wasn't all that far off. I even had the worst case scenario for South Carolina at 5-7. Many people balked at that. But the reason I list this at number 5, it really comes back to the idea and the premise. And I got to hold myself accountable that since the spring, since heck January, the beginning of 2023, I ran this Beamer Ball to the Moon campaign. This Beamer Ball to the Moon 2023 tour. Really banking on year 3 of Shane Beamer being this launching point year. And again, I picked 7-5. But even I said in the preseason, I'd be stunned if the Gamecocks did not even make a bowl game. I would have been stunned if South Carolina did not even get to 6 wins. And sure enough, they did not. And especially, too, when you have this T-shirt picture next to you, as I did all season long, after all the losses, game after game after game. Again, guys, I could not help but put it on this list. I created merchandise around year 3 of the Shane Beamer era, only for the rocket ship on the way up to the moon to really not even get off the ground. Beamer Ball to the moon. Beamer Ball did not even break the atmosphere. Beamer Ball didn't even get 100 feet off the landing pad before it exploded. I say that literally and figuratively because we look back in Charlotte, North Carolina. Heck, the way the season opened up, it exploded before it ever got off the ground. So number 5, guys, Beamer Ball to the moon. At number 4, again, guys, over the summer, we do our very best to give season predictions, lock in game-by-game picks. And I did that, of course, for every single SEC team. And I picked records for every single team in the SEC. There were a pair of teams, both in the East and the West, that I drastically missed. I drastically underestimated. And those two teams were the Missouri Tigers and the Ole Miss Rebels. I picked both of those teams to go 6-6 in this 2023 season. Now, the Missouri pick is more understandable, right? Eli Drinkets, what he had done in Como in his career, I think it warranted that 6-6 prediction, even with all the experience they had coming back. Ole Miss was a brutal swing and miss by my part. And Ole Miss Nation, Ole Miss Rebels, to the fans of the Ole Miss Rebels, I'm here to eat crow because I didn't know what the hell I was talking about. I had my doubts about the quarterback situation. I had my doubts about the defense and how quickly they could get fixed under Pete Golding. I had my doubts about Ole Miss this year in a really tough SEC West, and I thought Texas A&M was going to be that team that popped, and LSU was going to pop more than they did. And again, I severely underestimated the Ole Miss Rebels, along with Missouri as well. Again, both of these teams that I picked to go 6-6 respectively, they have both won 10 games. So you can't miss it much more than that. So again, number 4, guys, Ole Miss, Mizzou, picking them to go 6-6. Both now sit in, I believe, New Year's 6 bowl games, sitting at 10-2 overall. Each of those teams is. Couldn't have missed it much more than that. At number 3, guys, I made this pick over the summer. And once we got in season, right, once the pick is published, people don't forget. They don't let you forget, right? Which is the nature of the beast. It's the beauties and the banter, as I say, that's the beauty of it. They don't let you forget things like that. So over the summer, again, you try to get ahead and you try to make upset picks and predictions, and you understand, hey, this is college football, right? It's not going to go chalk. It's not exactly going to go how you think it's going to go. You've got to try to make some picks that maybe at the time seem unlikely or unrealistic, because isn't it funny in college football how the expect the unexpected. You have to expect the unordinary to happen. You have to expect these things to take place because, again, it's college football played by 18 to 22-year-old athletes. So, looking back at the schedule and back over the summer, you might recall Vanderbilt was a hot commodity, right? Vandy was a hot commodity. They were looked at as, man, that over 3.5, that's one of the best bets in Vegas. Clark Lee and company, they won 5 games last year. They could make a bowl game. They got this guy back and that guy back and that guy back. Look at the culture Clark Lee's building. And so I looked at that schedule and I said, man, I think Vandy's going to sneak up on somebody. I didn't pick Vandy to do all that. Well, I think I picked her to go 4-8 this year. But I thought Vandy would sneak up on somebody. I thought Vandy would win one SEC game. And that game that I picked Vandy to win was over the Auburn Tigers. And again, guys, first-year head coach Hugh Freeze, Auburn Tigers, by the way. And I made that pick up back over the summer. And we got to the week of the game, and I was like, you know what? It's already out there. I've already gone with Vandy. Why not? Let's just ride the Commodores and see what happens. Well, guys, not only did Vandy not win, they lost that game by 16 points, which was their closest margin of defeat, by the way, in SEC play. Closest margin of defeat. It was a rough season in Nashville, no doubt. So, that was a cold take, to say the least, to pick Vandy to win an SEC game. Again, went with my gut, went with the upset pick, knew there was a chance it'd blow up in my face, and certainly it did. At number 2, now this was one that Gamecock Nation gave me a lot of hell for. A lot of hell. And I deserved it. I earned it. I dropped my college football playoff predictions before the season took place, right? My college football playoff Final 4 projections and predictions, and my Final 4, my 4 teams, I thought were going to make it. And I had some usual suspects, right? I had Georgia. I had 2 Big Ten teams. I had Ohio State and Michigan. You might think, oh, man, that's a cold take. No. My 4th team I had the Clemson Tigers in the Final 4. I had the Clemson Tigers in the college football playoff. I really thought, guys, that with Garrett Riley at OC, I thought in a weak ACC, I was not sold on Florida State yet. I really thought Clemson was going to get back to their double-digit win seasons and dominating the ACC. And, man, I could not have been more wrong. Thankfully, by the way, I didn't want to be right in that. I didn't want to be right, but I just genuinely thought, you know what? The ACC is weak. FSU's got to prove it to me. And Clemson still got talent. And again, that was a swing and a miss. Thankfully, a swing and a miss, but a swing and a miss nonetheless. Clemson making the college football playoff. And I'm still getting hell about that, by the way. I'm still catching hell for putting Clemson in that college football playoff. And you know what? I can't even blame you guys. I really, truly can't, because that was a stupid pick. That was a dumb pick. I regret that pick. That was a silly, absurd pick. I shouldn't have doubted Florida State. I shouldn't given Clemson the benefit of the doubt. That one certainly blew up in my face. And again, I'm glad it did. And my number 1 coldest take of the 2023 college football season, you know, I don't regret making this pick, because looking back on paper, I felt really, really confident in this pick, guys. I felt really confident that, you know what, Like when I went to SEC Media Days and I made all my predictions and I made all my projections and I locked in my East and West winner or my champion, I felt really, really good about it. Honestly, I did. And through the first 3 or 4 weeks of the season, I was like, man, I nailed this. But at the end of the day, Lord Nick Saban still rules college football, and I had to learn that the hard way, guys. My number one coldest take, I had Bama going 9-3 in the 2023 season. I drank the Kool-Aid that, you know what? Alabama's fallen off. Nick Saban has lost his fastball. And again, guys, early in the season, I predicted the Texas loss. They lost to Texas. Then the following week, the South Florida game. I mean, guys, at that point, many of us were looking around going, this team might go 7-5. This team might go 8-4. Like 9-3 did not feel all that outlandish. 9-3 felt sort of kind at that point. But Alabama, Nick Saban, they did what they do best, and that is prove all of their doubters wrong, including yours truly. Again, I had to eat a lot of crow after that SEC championship. I doubted them yet again. I thought Georgia for sure was going to take down Alabama. And the job by Nick Saban, his coaching staff, the evolution of Jalen Milroe. Again, guys, we've talked about these things a lot, but it's worth highlighting yet again. It's worth highlighting yet again. And I learned a very, very hard lesson this year. And I don't know, I felt like, man, I'm making somewhat of a splash at SEC Media Days. I'm drawing a lot of attention to myself, picking the Crimson Tide to go 9-3. And I just learned the lesson that if you're going to dance on the grave of Alabama, if you're going to dance on the grave of Nick Saban, dance very lightly. Dance very lightly, because everybody wants to be the first one to call the ending of the dynasty. Everybody wants to be the first to call the ending of the Nick Saban era in Tuscaloosa. Maybe there's some Bama fatigue in there. And that day will one day come, but that day is not today. And I had to learn that the hard way. So again, guys, my top 5 coldest takes of the 2023 college football season. At number 5, Beamer ball to the moon. At number 4, Ole Miss and Missouri both going 6-6. At number 3, Vanderbilt beating Auburn. At number 2, Clemson making the college football playoff. And at number 1, the Alabama Crimson Tide finishing the season at 9-3.